Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. So we're just a couple of days away from Record Store Day 2023. So today I finally narrowed down my list and we're talking about the 8 titles that I'm hoping to grab. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music weekly playlists we put together, and also the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. One of my favorite days of the year is finally upon us. Record Store Day is just a couple of days away now. And so when the list first came out, I was really excited. There's a bunch of stuff that I was really hoping to grab. I want to say initially there was 12 or 14 titles that I was at least interested in. And then the price list came out, and I did a whole video about how the prices were kind of crazy for Record Store Day this year. And it really kind of helped me kind of knock some stuff off of my list. Because with Record Store Day, I try to stay within a budget. And yeah, I'm going to go a little bit over my budget this year, but I'm going to be pretty close to what I typically spend. I think there is some really great stuff coming out. I was really hoping we'd see something big, like I was really hoping to see Alice in Chains self-title or something like big like that get released for Record Store Day. I know there is the Van Halen live album, which at $100, initially I had it on my list, but for $100, I can take I'm happy with the CD that I paid probably $12 for a few years back. I'm fine with just the CD version compared to that live album. If it was one of their studio albums, I could probably make the argument to pick it up, but I'm going to pass on that one. And there was a couple other ones kind of on the same line, where if it was like, maybe $5 or $10 cheaper, I could kind of consider getting it. But with a lot of those prices, when they were like $45, $50 plus, I just had to take them off the list, especially if they're going to be RSD first. Maybe eventually I'll pick them up down the line. But, so I try to focus mainly on RSD exclusive releases, stuff that I know I'm not going to be able to get later. So I think the first one I saw on the list where I thought to myself, I absolutely have to make sure I get this one because I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan, so I've got to get this one. This is a Pearl Jam giveaway. It's an RSD exclusive. A little over 15,000 copies of this going to be available. It's going to run you about $45 as a suggested price on that one. It's a double LP on black vinyl. This was recorded in March of '98 in Melbourne, Australia. It's supposed to be a great show. It was supposed to be released as it's supposed to be widely released as a CD in '98, but only a few copies made its way out. It stayed largely unreleased for the last 25 years. So that's one that, regardless of what the price was on that one, I was going to grab that one. The second one, I was really interested in it, and then I decided to knock it off my list, and then I decided to put it back on the list. But this is the Cure show. This is also an RSD exclusive. 10,000 copies that's going to be available. It wasn't really the price that kind of gave me pause on this one. It was the fact that it's not a picture disc. I'm not a fan of picture discs. I know the Cure have released a lot of great picture discs over the last couple of years for Record Store Day. They all sound fantastic. There's no sound issues, at least that I'm aware of. And this is a great live album. This was recorded during the Wish tour, which Wish is probably my favorite album by The Cure. It was in 1992 at the Palace of Auburn Hills, which is just north of Detroit. Great venue. I saw a bunch of great concerts there over the years. But so this is the first time it's been available on vinyl since it was first released in 1993. So it's, like I said, I went back and forth on it because it is a picture disc, but because of the reputation that the Cure picture discs have, I'm going to try to pick this one up. So the next release was supposed to be released for Record Store Day last year. Then I got pushed back to Record Store Day Black Friday, and then I got pushed back again. So it's gone over quite the journey over the last year. This is Mr. Big's self-titled debut album from 1989. It's an RSD first, so I'm sure it's going to get reissued again down the line. It's 2,500 copies that's going to be available, which when it was announced last year, I think it was only 500 copies is what it was supposed to be originally. So they pressed more, and then they'll probably press more again. But this is on blue vinyl. It's going to run you about $38. It was a big album when it first came out. It hit number, I think it was 46 on the Billboard charts here in the U.S. This is going to be individually numbered, so that's always kind of a bonus, I think, also. So that's going to be a good release then. Like I said, I'm sure it's going to sell pretty well. It's not going to sell as well as the next release, though. The next one, I think, is going to be the big album for Record Store Day. This is Taylor Swift, Folklore, The Long Pond Sessions. It's a RSD exclusive. It's not going to be that exclusive, though. Yeah, they're saying 75,000 copies. I'm seeing estimates at 100,000 plus of these that were pressed. So, like I said, I think this is going to be a pretty easy album to grab for Record Store Day. It's a double LP on gray vinyl. It's going to run you about $40. This was recorded live for the Disney Plus documentary they did about the album. I think Folklore is a fantastic album. I think, and I'm not even the biggest Taylor Swift fan, but I think it's one of the best albums of the last probably 4 or 5 years. So it's definitely one I got on my list. So over the last several years, the Ramones have done some great releases for RSD. I think this year is really no different. This year they're releasing Pleasant Dreams, the New York mixes. This is a RSD exclusive. There's 7,500 copies that's going to be available. It's going to run you $25, which is kind of the going rate for most of the Ramones releases. This was released back in '81. It was the Ramones' 6th studio album. And this album is an interesting Ramones album because at that time the Ramones were a band going in two very different musical directions. Part of the band wanted to go a little more poppy, and the other band wanted to go definitely like a harder metal kind of sound. So it has a mixing of some genres on there. The album was originally mixed by Graham Gouldman, who was the producer that the label brought in. The band really didn't want to work with him, but so I don't think his version of this album has ever been released. So it's definitely one I'm looking forward to. I love at least the Ramones stuff from the 70s through the early part of the 80s. A lot of great music on there. This has KKK Took My Baby Away, which is one of my favorite Ramones tracks. And then you also got Scott Weiland, 12 Bar Blues, coming off Record Store Day. It's RSD exclusive, 4,000 copies that's going to be available, so it might be a little harder to track this one down. It's a double LP on blue and green vinyl. It's going to run you about $35. This was released back in 1998. And to be completely honest, I've never listened to it. I know there's a lot of people who love this album, really kind of rave about how the quality of this album is, a lot of the stuff that Scott did on here, but I haven't listened to it yet. So it's one that I'm definitely going to pick up and check out. This actually has 2 previously unreleased tracks and an unreleased demo on there too, so it's kind of an added bonus, I think. The next album is another one that I kind of went back and forth on. Not really because of the price or anything with the release. It's only just because I already have a couple of copies of it, but I absolutely love this album, so I'm definitely going to grab the RSD version of it. This is the Rolling Stones' Beggar's Banquet. It's a RSD exclusive. 9,000 copies are going to be available. It's going to be on gray, blue, black, white swirl vinyl. I'm sure it's going to look pretty sweet. Like I said, the Rolling Stones have done some great releases over the last couple of years. This one's going to be no different. It's only around $33. If it was a little bit more than that, if it was, getting closer to that $40 mark, I'd probably pass on it. But $33, I don't think is a bad price for that album. Released back in 1968. What's interesting about this album, first off, it was the last album recorded or released during Brian Jones's life, and I don't think Brian Jones had a whole lot to do with the album, but there's definitely his influence on there. And where the previous 2 Rolling Stones albums were very much like a psychedelic rock kind of thing, this is a return to like straightforward blues rock. Like I said before, it's just a fantastic album from beginning to end. And then so you got that release, and then the last one on my list is the Verve Pipe Villains. This is a RSD first. 2,000 copies going to be available, so might be a little bit harder to grab. Like I said, 2,000 copies. It's not going to be really as widely spread out as some of the other RSD releases. That's why it's an RSD first. I've got it on my list, so I can probably grab it later, hopefully when it gets reissued if I miss out on it. It's going to run you $35. This was released back in 1996. It was the band's 3rd studio album. Of course, The Freshman was the big track off this album that everyone knows. But the funny thing is about it, that song is that's not the original song. The version we know is not the original version of that song. When this album first came out, The Freshman was a much more toned down, kind of softer, more slower track. And then I think it was like a year later, the band re-recorded it and added the new version onto the album. That was the one that really kind of blew up and got big. I think it was number 1 song, hit number 1, I think, on the Billboard rock charts. The album went platinum. It's just a great album. For $35, that's definitely one I'll try to grab. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up on Record Store Day. I think it's a great list. Maybe I'm in the minority. I know there's a lot of people that are really down on the RSD list this year, but I thought it was some really great stuff on there. Yeah, like every Record Store Day, it has too many soundtracks, has too many picture discs. But outside of that, I think there is some really good releases coming out this year. But let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And that's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.